fluoridation of water supplies has become the most bitterly contested public health measure of our time.
In the mid-20th century, scientists successfully argued the benefits of adding fluoride to town water, but it wasn't without contest.
We have letters from all over Australia telling us that we're spreading communism via the water tap and we're poisoning the water supply and all kinds of things.
Regardless, public health officials pushed ahead, fluoridating supplies across the country. But Queensland did it differently.
All other Australian states and territories said, well, under the Australian Constitution, health is a state government responsibility. The Queensland government at the time said, well, it's a water treatment issue, so let's just give it to local councils.
That changed in 2008 when the Queensland Labor government took control, mandating fluoride. Though that only lasted 4 years, ditched by the state LNP, which allowed councils to opt out.
That changed everything. There's been several local governments actively take fluoride out of their water since then.
Queenslanders living regionally and remotely still have the worst dental health in Australia.
After 15 years of fluoridation, the latest city to abandon the measure was Gympie, about 2 hours' drive north of Brisbane, where half the city was receiving fluoridated town water. Late last month, councillors met here to vote on a decision that would impact around 58,000 residents. The outcome was described by one of those councillors as potentially sending the city back to its Helltown era.
I don't believe in mass medication, so therefore, yeah, I would like the councillors today to take that into consideration.
The motion was moved by Councillor Alona Lan, a self-proclaimed pro-choice advocate who before local government had a crack at federal politics with the Informed Medical Options Party.
And so merely now we are slaves and servants to the people. We are free people, we are sovereign, and we deserve the right to have our say and our choice.
This is the thing, we're an experiment. The drugs are an experiment. The scientists and doctors are not that smart.
I met with Councillor Lan outside Town Hall, who explained her motion was motivated by cost to ratepayers, the right to have a choice, and her belief the science doesn't stack up.
There's heaps of research over from America, Cochrane reports. There's science on both sides. When you start researching anything, there will be science on both sides of the story.
While the city's mayor supported Ms Lan's point of view and motion, the deputy certainly did not.
I can hear the banjos playing. We are just putting ourselves back into the Helltown era.
What did you mean by that?
I just meant in 20 years' time you will probably see our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren with every second tooth missing, and we will just look like hillbilly rednecks.
Dolly Jensen's worried what it'll mean for the vulnerable and disadvantaged, and so is long-serving local dentist Paul Dixon.
I just feel quite saddened, really, that there's going to be a lot of people and young kids and people coming in and having to have pain and suffering because of this decision.
Some residents claim they didn't even get a choice in the matter because the council didn't bother with any formal community consultation. And you're someone who claims to be pro-choice, but
yes,
effectively the community haven't had their choice in whether or not their water's fluoridated. Do you see that as being a bit hypocritical?
I did my research, I spoke to the people, the overwhelming response was, and the overwhelming response on all the social media posts are people don't want it in the water.
On social media? What about all the people who don't have access to social media or the internet or those sorts of things?
And like I said, I've spoken to many people and they don't want fluoride in the water. If you want a choice, go buy fluoride toothpaste. It's much more cost effective. It's not going to cost a bomb to the state, government or council. It's effective. Put it on your teeth if you want fluoride.
A lot of the studies say, though, this is more aimed towards the more vulnerable people who don't have potentially even the ability to purchase fluoridated products. What about those people?
Well, the state government can subsidise that and give out free fluoride toothpaste. It's pretty simple.
With Gympie voting out, there are just 17 councils out of a total 77 left in Queensland with fluoridation, seen here in dark blue and mostly in the southeast. The light blue areas have naturally fluoridated water.
I think there's always going to be ideas that are against mainstream science. That's always going to exist. It always has existed and it will continue to exist. But we know that the science shows that it's a benefit and that there's no disadvantages at safe levels.
The latest population study by world-leading water researcher Professor Lockdoe surveyed almost 8,000 school-aged children in Queensland and found that in newly fluoridated areas, decay was reducing, and in non-fluoridated areas, there were no changes.
What is it about that you're so sceptical of?
The science, even the latest study that we've just spoken about before by Queensland University, it actually says it's not there. There's other science out there, better science, to determine whether or not fluoride is beneficial for the teeth. Or, well, that report is not there to determine the science of fluoridisation.
The researcher who led that says it is there to be used as a tool which can then determine that fluoridation is having great success in the regions that are fluoridated.
And we haven't seen the questionnaire. We don't know what the questions are. I've just pointed out that most people don't even know whether or not they've got fluoride in the water.
Helping facilitate the anti-fluoride arguments are online groups with letter templates and information dossiers ready to be downloaded, signed and fired off by anyone so inclined.
And if you go to their websites, I defy anybody not to be superficially convinced by their evidence. It is superficially quite convincing.
Regardless of its veracity, such evidence has been cited in regional council meetings, including in Cairns, which voted to keep fluoride out of the water last December.
And I just don't think this is going to be the unicorn dust that you think it is by putting it in. It's not going to fix all your problems. I'm happy to support this motion. Fluoride can get stuffed. Thanks.
All those in favour?
It's not a water supply issue, it's a health issue, and really it should be returned to the state government at the state government level so that the people who make decisions about health are actually making decisions about this as well.
The Health Minister, Tim Nicholls, wouldn't answer questions about the influence of anti-fluoridationists on public health decision-making, but backed his department's advice to encourage local governments to adopt and maintain the provision of water fluoridation.
We make decisions for rates, roads and rubbish, not health. That's a matter for state.